Hello everyone, I am Sujay Datta. I'll be basically discussing the CAT 2024 Slot 2 quant paper here in this video. Before we start, just a little bit about myself. I have been mentoring for the CAT and the GMAT and other exams for the last 20 years. In CAT 2024, I have a quant 99.99 and an overall of 99.5 plus, all sections combined. So without further ado, let us start with the questions of the second slot quant section, okay? So the first question, this is talking about a company having 40 employees and the names are listed in a certain order. So the average of the first 30 employees. Okay, so you have the first 30 employees, then you have something about the last 30 employees, and then you have the first 10 and the last 10. So what we can do is, say we have the first 10, then we have the next 20, because then there's a clear overlap of 20, right? 30 employees, 30 employees. So there's a total is 60, but then we have only 40. That means there's an overlap of 20 employees here. So the middle 20, and here you have the last 10. That makes up your 40 employees. Now it's saying that the average of the first 30 employees was 40,000. So if I call this the first 10 as F, the middle to be M, and the last 10 to be L. So the first 30 employees means you're talking of F and M, 30 people, and their average is 40,000. So for simplicity's sake, let us just assume that it is 40 rupees, okay? 40 rupees, 50 rupees, and 60 rupees. There's no point keeping all those zeros every time. So total salary, we are just going to write down the relationships for the total salary. So for F plus M, or rather let's put it like this, for F and M together, total salary of the first and 10 people plus the middle 20 people. So F plus M is 40 times 30, right? 1200. Then the last 30 employees was 60. So that means M plus L. So 60 times 30 again. And finally, the first 10 and the last 10. So F plus L. So that is 20 employees, 50. So that is 1000. Now, if you look at this, if you add the three, you are going to get 2 times F plus 2 times M plus 2 times L. That's 4000. So that means F plus M plus L is 2000. From here, we can easily calculate, since F plus M is 1200 and the 3 is 2000, so L will be 800. Here, F will be 200 and here M will be 1000. So their total salaries here, this is 200, the middle one's 1000, and this one 800. So we have got the total salaries. Now they're saying that the first 10 employees' salary increased by 100%, means it became double. The last 10 increased by 200%, means it became triple. And the middle unchanged, so this remained the same. So the total salary now becomes 24 plus 100,000, so that is 3,400 plus 400, 3,800. Now they're asking the average in the year 2023, means in the next year. Okay. So what is their average? So this is 3,800. Now just remember that we had these three zeros at the end. Okay. Now 3,800, if I divide by 40 people, right? So that is 95. So our answer is 95 followed by three zeros. So that is option C. All right. Let's move on to the next. So here they're asking this number is divided by 11. What is the remainder? So we need to, there are two ways of doing this. One is directly we use the Euler's theorem or we use the normal process. So we need to figure out some power of 3 when divided by 11 gives a very small remainder. So now if you look at this carefully, 3 raised to the power 5, so that is 243. And 243, if you divide by 11, leaves a remainder 1. Okay, 11 2 is 22, 23 is left, then 11 goes 2 times again, 22. So 1 will be the remainder. So 3 raised to the power 5 leaves a remainder 1. So now we need to work on this. That would be 3 raised to the power 5 to the power 66. That will make 330. And multiply 3 cube. That's the balance. So when you are dividing this by 11, it's as good as dividing this whole thing by 11. Now observe 3 to the power 5 leaves remainder 1. So from here, your remainder is 1 raised to 66, which is basically 1. Now this term here is 27. 27 divided by 11, it goes 2 times in it, and remainder is 5. So the remainder here for this entire thing would be 1 times 5. So that is 5. So that's the fourth option. All right, next move on to the next question. So it says that m and n are natural numbers, and you have got something like this, something raised to the power something. Now observe that you have 2 and 3 as two different primes. So obviously m must have 2 and 3 both in it, okay? And you have to raise it to the single power. So you can't put the whole thing as 1. You can't say this whole thing is m and this is 1 because n is clearly mentioned greater than 1. So what you do is look at the GCD or the HCF of the powers 25 and 40. So that comes out to 5. So we can put the common power 5 here. So we'll adjust the rest inside. So 2 raised to the power 5 times 3 to the power 8 whole raised to the power 5. So this becomes now 2 to the power 5 is 32. 3 to the power 8 is basically 3 to the power 4, which is 81 times 81, 81 square. Okay. So now if you look at this carefully, this entire thing, when you multiply, multiplication will take time, right? So we can use a calculator and get it done, or you can just understand this way. If you multiply, your last digit will come out to be 1 times 1 times 2. So something big followed by a 2. From there, we are going to, this is your m value, right? And your n value is 5. So we are going to subtract m and n, right? So when you do m minus n, the answer must be something ending in 7 because when you have 2 here and you're subtracting 5 from it, so we'll have to have a borrow. This will become 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. So we have got something ending in 7, but then both of them are possible, right? So unfortunately, we could not do it this way. So we'll need to calculate, okay? So 81 times 81. So if you know that square of 81, so it's 6561. And then we multiply 32 with that. So if I do that, so this would come out to be, let's do the normal way. 209952. Now, once we know that it is 209952 and we have to subtract 5, so it is 209947. So that's your answer. I hope this was okay. We could have also, instead of doing the whole thing, could have just figured out the last two digits. We know that this is going to be 52. Once you're done till here, you can stop. And when you subtract 5 from this, it has to become 47. So it must be a 47. So there is only 147 in this. You could have marked that away also, but then it's fine. Okay, let's go to the next question. So this one says a vessel has certain amount of acid and water. Okay, so acid, water. You don't know how much is it, but then you add 2 liters of water to this, and now you have the solution 50% acid. So that means it has become 1:1. All right. Next, we are saying that with this, you are adding 15 liters of acid. So we add 15 liters of acid here. And now the final solution has 80% acid, means the remaining 20% water. So 4 is to 1. So now observe that you had not added water in the second step, right? So the water quantity should have been identical. So it is already identical. So that is fine. Now look that the acid quantity has changed from 1, it has become 4. So there is a plus 3. But then we know that this is actually 15. So that means there is a scale up that's happening. From 3, it has scaled up to 15. So 5 times. So we multiply everything here with 5. So this will be 5, this would be 20, this would be 5, and so on. So from 5 alcohol, you added 15, it became 20. 5 water remained 5. Hence 20 is to 5 is 4 is to 1. That's the idea. Now the fact that this is 5, these are actual liters, right? This is actual 5, which you obtained by adding the 2 liters. So that means initially it must have been 3 liters. There was no change in the acid quantity here. So that's 5 liters. Okay. So that's basically the question. What is the ratio of water and acid in the mixture? So water and acid mixture would be 3 to 5. Not acid to water, but water to acid. So that is the answer. Let's look at the next one. So now here, also that if I were to take it to this side and then square both sides, it won't really help much. It will actually make things more complicated. But then you can observe that if x minus 6 root 2 was a, x plus 6 root 2, and x minus 6 root 2 was b, let us say, what you have here is root of a minus root of b is 2 root 2. But if you happen to know that a minus b is how much? A minus b is essentially root a squared minus root b squared. If you know this, then you can divide the two equations, a squared minus b squared over a minus b, and get a plus b equal to something. And then simultaneously solve these two equations to find out the values of x. So that will be our strategy here. So what we will do here is first think of what is x plus 6 root 2 minus x minus 6 root 2 without the square roots. So basically, if this is the term, then we have squared it, each of them. So now x and x cancel out. As a result, this now becomes minus and minus become plus 12 root 2. Okay. Now, since this is square of this and this is square of this, so what you have is this is root over of this whole squared like that. So it is essentially a squared minus b squared form, where a is this term here. So if I were to divide this equation with this equation, then a minus b divided by, or a squared minus b squared divided by a minus b, that comes out to be a plus b. Okay. So a squared minus b squared divided by a minus b is a plus b, and this is 12 root 2 divided by 2 root 2, 6. So now coming back to the given equation, we can add them. So this cancels out. Now I can divide by 2. Okay. So now square it. So 3 plus root 2 squared will be 3 squared plus root 2 squared plus 2 times a times b. So that is 6 root 2. 6 root 2 cancels out, leaving behind x as 11. Okay.